Here are 5 multifamily mistakes that quietly diminish your returns. And I'll be jumping in with pro tips along the way, so stick with me. Let's roll the video.
All right, let's get right into it. This breakdown is brought to you by Real Estate Rank IQ. We are tackling the 5 multifamily mistakes that quietly kill returns and how smart investors avoid them.
So, here's a question for you right off the bat. Which one of these mistakes do you think silently drains the most profit from a deal? Think about it and stick with me, because I'm going to give you the answer at the very end.
Okay, so before we even get into the mistakes themselves, you've got to understand why they're so devastating. It all comes down to the basic math that drives every single multifamily deal. Seriously, this is where the magic or the misery happens. It's all about leverage.
And here it is. The whole game, the entire game, boils down to this simple little formula. Value equals your net operating income, your NOI, divided by the market's cap rate. But here's the kicker, and you have to get this. A tiny little mistake in your NOI doesn't just mean a tiny little mistake in the value. Oh no. Because you're dividing, that small error gets blown up, magnified into a massive 6-figure swing in the property's value. It's a huge deal.
And that leads us perfectly into the biggest, most common offender of them all. Mistake number 1, the rosy pro forma. This is the one that gets you, it sets you up for failure before you even get the keys. So here's the trap, and it's so easy to fall into. You get this slick marketing flyer, right? And it has what's called a pro forma, which is just a fancy word for their financial projections. And you believe it, you just accept their numbers. You don't do the hard work of rebuilding the financials from scratch using actual evidence. And when you do that, let's be honest, you're not buying a property, you're buying a story, a piece of fiction. Just look at how this plays out in the real world. The flyer's numbers, all full of rosy assumptions, might claim a $40,000 net operating income. But then you do your homework. You dig into the actual leases, you look at the real bank statements, you get current quotes for expenses, and suddenly the real NOI is more like $33,000. Now you might be thinking, $7 grand, what's the big deal? Well, let's see what that little math formula we talked about has to say about that. Boom! At a 6% cap rate, that small $7,000 miss just cost you over $116,000 in value. Let that sink in. You just overpaid by 6 figures. On day 1, you bought income that literally never existed. This isn't just a mistake. It's a catastrophic, unrecoverable hole in your investment from the very start. So how do the
Pro tip, keep a lender-ready deal room. T12s, rent rolls, CapEx logs, and photos, so quotes come fast and you can pivot programs without delay.
So how do the pros avoid this? Simple. It's a non-negotiable discipline. Here's the playbook. 1, you rebuild every single income number from actual collections, money that has hit the bank. 2, you get fresh, real-world quotes for all your expenses, especially things like insurance and taxes that are going to change after you buy it. 3, you stress test your numbers. What happens if vacancy goes up? And 4, and this is the most important part, you price your offer based on your verified numbers, not their fantasy numbers.
All right, let's talk about the next couple of mistakes. These two are all about picking the wrong project. Basically, biting off way more than you can chew, especially when you're just starting out.
This brings us to mistake number 2, jumping into an extremely distressed project way too early. Look, there's a world of difference between a challenging project and a financial black hole. You have to know which one you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line.
And here's how you tell the difference. A manageable project? Yeah, I might have, say, 30% vacancy and need some updating. It's a heavy lift for sure, but it's solvable. An extremely distressed property, that's a whole other animal. We're talking a completely vacant building, maybe fire damage, or one that's just full of tenants who aren't paying rent. These projects don't just cost money. They hemorrhage cash every single month in holding costs while bringing in zero income.
Pro tip, before closing, renegotiate or cut inherited service contracts, laundry, waste, cable, landscaping. Auto renewals and hidden escalators eat NOI fast.
Zero income.
And right alongside that is mistake number 3, falling for the allure of ground-up construction as your first big move. I get it, it sounds amazing on paper, right? Brand new units, you get to charge top-dollar rents, no leaky roofs from the past. What could go wrong? Well, the biggest risk isn't the lumber or the concrete, it's the clock.
Yeah, the hidden killer here is time. The city's permit delays can drag on for months, sometimes even years. The construction itself, it almost never finishes on schedule. And while all that's happening, your costs are creeping up, and that construction loan you took out, the deadline is getting closer and closer. If you don't have that building finished and rented out by the time that loan comes due, you're in a world of hurt.
Okay, let's shift gears for our last two mistakes. These aren't so much about the property itself, but about the strategy. These are the mental traps that even smart people fall into.
Mistake number 4, chasing those super high cap rate deals. Man, is this one tempting. You see a high return on paper, the price looks cheap, you feel like you've just discovered a secret that nobody else knows. But here's the hard truth. High cap rates are high for a reason. Always.
The reality check comes fast and hard. That juicy 10% return you were promised on paper, it gets eaten alive by all the problems that were hiding in plain sight. We're talking about constant vacancies, endless turnover costs, evictions, major repairs. All of that can chop your actual return down to 4% or even less. You didn't buy a high return, you bought a full-time, high-stress job.
And that brings us to the final mistake. Number 5, trying to go it alone. We all have this image of the lone wolf real estate tycoon, right? It's a total myth. Real estate investing, especially multifamily, is a team sport. Trying to do it all yourself is the fastest path to getting burned out and making a huge, costly mistake.
Look, a smart investor doesn't pretend to have all the answers. Instead, they build an all-star team. This is your championship roster, an experienced property manager who lives and breathes that neighborhood, a creative lender who finds solutions, not just problems, a tough real estate attorney who has your back, a tax-savvy CPA who saves you a fortune, and, maybe most important, a veteran mentor who's already seen and solved the problems you're about to hit.
All right, so we've walked through the 5 biggest landmines. Now, let's flip it around and do a super fast recap of how you avoid them. These are the smart investors' fixes.
First, you price your deal based on your verified NOI, not the seller's marketing flyer. Period.
Next, you start with value-add projects you can actually handle, and you do it with a mountain of cash reserves for when things go wrong, because they will.
Third, buy existing buildings first. Earn your stripes in operations. That's the real business, before you even think about building from the ground up.
Fourth, go for quality. Invest in durable submarkets and focus on fixing problems you can actually control, not betting on a whole neighborhood to change.
And fifth, build your professional bench, your property manager, lender, attorney, CPA, and mentor before you desperately need them. Your team is your best defense. Okay, so remember that question I asked at the beginning? Which mistake is the #1 silent profit drain? Well, here's the answer. It is, without a doubt, the rosy pro forma. Why? Think about it. All the other mistakes are problems you face after you own the property. This is the only one that forces you to lose money from the second you sign the papers. You overpay on day one, locking in a loss that is almost impossible to ever recover from.
Hey, if this helps you see things a little more clearly, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We've got more insights coming to help you keep your investing game sharp.